Ladies and gentlemen, imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, holding a tiny pebble in your hand. Now, picture dropping that pebble into the water. The ripples begin small, but they expand, reaching farther than you ever expected. This is the power of a small step. We believe that change, real meaningful change, only happens through grand gestures or massive efforts. We assume that to make an impact, we need to be bigger, stronger, or more prepared. But the truth is, every great journey, every revolution, every life-changing innovation starts the same way, with a single step. A world leader who shaped history, a scientist who made a groundbreaking discovery, a teacher who changed a student's life. None of them began with the full picture. They started with an idea, a decision, or an action. Small, but intentional. The biggest obstacle to progress isn't a lack of ability. It's the belief that our small efforts don't matter. We hesitate to start because we think our contributions are too insignificant. But history tells a different story. Take the story of Rosa Parks. It wasn't a grand protest that changed history. It was a single decision to remain seated. Or consider how a single dollar saved every day can turn into financial freedom. A smile, a kind word, a small act of generosity. These things may seem trivial, but they can transform someone's day, maybe even their life. Small steps don't just lead to progress, they create momentum. And momentum fuels transformation. What's stopping you from taking that first step? From sending that message, starting that project, learning that skill, or reaching out to help someone in need? You don't have to see the entire staircase to take the first step. Every great achievement, every monumental change, every groundbreaking innovation begins the same way, with a single step. It's easy to look at the towering successes of the world and assume they were built overnight or born from extraordinary circumstances. But if you trace any of them back to their origin, you'll find a moment where someone, somewhere, took a small but intentional action. The first step is always the hardest. It's where fear, doubt, and hesitation live. People hesitate to start because they believe they need a grand plan, perfect conditions, or guaranteed success before they begin. This belief holds us back more than any external obstacle ever could. But the truth is, action breeds clarity. When you take that first step, no matter how small, you gain momentum, and momentum fuels progress. A young entrepreneur who dreams of building a business. The vision might be overwhelming. Offices, employees, impact, success. But before any of that can happen, they must take one small action. Maybe it's researching an idea, making a call, or writing down their goals. That single step, seemingly insignificant, is the beginning of something bigger than they can see in that moment. Or consider someone who wants to improve their health. The thought of transformation can feel daunting, but the journey doesn't begin with a perfect fitness routine or a complete lifestyle overhaul. It starts with a choice. The decision to drink more water, take the stairs instead of the elevator, or wake up 10 minutes earlier for a short walk. That one step, repeated consistently, can lead to profound change over time. History is filled with stories that prove the power of the first step. Rosa Parks didn't set out to start a movement. She simply refused to give up her seat. That single act of defiance ignited a civil rights movement. Thomas Edison didn't wake up one morning and invent the light bulb in one go. He tested thousands of small ideas, each one a step toward eventual success. Even the world's greatest authors didn't write their masterpieces in one sitting. They began with a single sentence, sometimes even a single word. The power of the first step isn't just in what it accomplishes directly, but in what it unlocks. It shifts your mindset. It breaks the cycle of hesitation. It tells you this is possible. And once you've taken that first step, the second one feels easier, then the third. And before you know it, What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. The key is to detach from the outcome at the beginning. Many people don't start because they're too focused on the finish line. But when you shift your focus to just the next step, the pressure lessens. You don't need to have everything figured out, you just need to move forward. If you're waiting for the perfect time, you'll be waiting forever. There is no perfect time, no ideal moment when everything aligns perfectly. The only moment you truly have control over is now. And in this moment, you have a choice: to stay where you are or to take one small step towards something greater. No matter how big the goal, how ambitious the dream, or how daunting the journey, it all begins the same way, with a single deliberate step. Progress is not always immediate, nor is it always visible, yet small actions, repeated consistently over time, create exponential results. This is the essence of the compounding effect, the idea that tiny, seemingly insignificant efforts accumulate and grow into something far greater than the sum of their parts. Small actions may feel pointless. Saving a few dollars a day may not seem like much. Reading 10 pages of a book doesn't feel like a big achievement. Exercising for just 5 minutes might not seem worth it. But what happens when these actions are repeated daily, weekly, and monthly? Over time, they build into something powerful. The small savings turn into financial security. The pages read become a wealth of knowledge. The short workouts develop into lasting strength and health. The problem is that most people expect instant results. When they don't see immediate change, they assume their small efforts don't matter. But real growth, the kind that lasts, happens in the background, beneath the surface, much like a seed planted in the soil. In its early stages, a seed shows no signs of growth above ground. But beneath the surface, roots are forming, growing deeper and stronger. Then, one day, a sprout appears, seemingly out of nowhere. The compounding effect works both ways. Just as positive actions accumulate into success, negative habits accumulate into setbacks. Skipping a single workout may not seem like a big deal, but when repeated, it leads to declining health. Procrastinating on one task may feel harmless, but over time, it creates a pattern of inaction. Small choices, whether positive or negative, shape our future more than we realize. This principle changes everything. It removes the pressure of needing instant results. It shifts the focus from drastic transformations to daily progress. Instead of waiting for a big breakthrough, it encourages small but consistent action. The most powerful changes don't happen all at once. They happen in small increments over time. It is not about taking massive leaps, but about making small, intentional choices every day. Over time, these choices create unstoppable momentum, leading to results far greater than what seemed possible at the start. No matter how small, has the potential to create a ripple effect, spreading far beyond what we can see. Just as a single drop of water can create waves in a still pond, a single decision, a kind word, or a small act of courage can set off a chain reaction of events that shape lives in ways we may never fully realize. People underestimate their ability to make a difference because they assume impact must be immediate or visible. But change rarely happens in an instant. It moves outward, touching one person, then another, and another. What starts as a simple act can grow into something far greater than the original effort. The impact of a single teacher who believes in a struggling student. The encouragement they give may seem small in the moment, but it can inspire confidence that lasts a lifetime. That student, in turn, may go on to do great things, influencing others along the way. The teacher may never see the full extent of their impact, but it exists nonetheless. This effect is evident in everyday life. A simple act of kindness, holding the door for someone, offering a genuine compliment, or listening without judgment can improve someone's day. That person, now feeling a little lighter, may pass on that positivity to others. What started as a single moment of kindness multiplies, spreading far beyond the initial interaction. The ripple effect is also powerful in the pursuit of change. Consider the civil rights movements, social justice initiatives, or technological advancements that have reshaped history. Many of these began with small acts. One person speaking up, one group taking a stand, one idea challenging the status quo. The initial action may have seemed insignificant at the time, but it inspired others, creating waves of transformation. Even in the business world, some of the most successful companies started with one small idea, one prototype, or one early customer. A simple innovation, shared with the right people, spreads and grows, eventually reaching millions. The impact of that single initial step is magnified exponentially. The ripple effect is not limited to positive actions. Just as small acts of kindness and courage spread, so do negativity and inaction. A single moment of doubt can discourage someone from pursuing their dreams. A single harsh word can leave a lasting wound. The energy we put into the world, whether positive or negative, continues beyond us, influencing others in ways we may never fully grasp. This understanding is powerful because it reminds us that everything we do matters. Every choice we make, every action we take, has the potential to extend beyond ourselves. We may never see the full impact of our efforts, but that does not mean they are insignificant. The ripple effect teaches us that we don't need to change the world in one grand gesture. We simply need to start. A small step taken with intention, can set off a series of events that lead to extraordinary results. Whether through kindness, innovation, or perseverance, the ripples we create have the power to reach places we never imagined. One of the greatest obstacles to progress is not the lack of resources, talent, or opportunity. It is the fear of inaction. Many people hesitate to start because they believe their small efforts won't make a difference. They wait for the perfect moment, the right circumstances, or a grand plan before taking action. But in doing so, they remain stuck, never realizing that the only real failure is not trying at all. Fear of inaction often stems from self-doubt. People question whether they are capable, whether their ideas are good enough, or whether their contributions will even be noticed. This fear creates a mental barrier, making even the simplest first step feel overwhelming. Yet the reality is that progress is not about knowing everything in advance. It's about taking a step forward, learning along the way, and adjusting as needed. Perfectionism also plays a significant role in keeping people from taking action. Many individuals believe that if they cannot do something perfectly, they shouldn't do it at all. But perfection is an illusion. No great achievement was ever flawless from the start. The most successful people understand that action, even imperfect action, is better than standing still. The greatest artists, writers, and innovators all started with rough drafts, failed attempts, and moments of uncertainty, but they moved forward anyway, refining and improving as they went. A reason people hesitate to take action is the misconception that small efforts don't matter. When a goal feels too big, the small steps toward it can seem insignificant. However, this mindset ignores the reality of how progress works. Every major achievement is the result of tiny steps taken consistently over time. A single workout may not transform someone's health overnight, but repeated effort builds strength. One saved dollar doesn't create financial security, but saving consistently over time does. The key is to trust the process and recognize that even the smallest action contributes to the bigger picture. History is full of examples of people who overcame the fear of inaction and took that crucial first step. Rosa Parks' decision to remain seated on a bus was not part of a massive orchestrated movement at the time. It was a personal choice that sparked a revolution. A young Steve Jobs, working in a garage, had no idea that Apple would one day change the world, but he started with what he had. These individuals did not have certainty, they had courage. Overcoming inaction requires a shift in mindset. Instead of focusing on the entire journey, focus on the next step. Instead of waiting for perfect conditions, work with what is available. Instead of fearing failure, embrace learning. Action creates momentum, and momentum fuels confidence. There will never be a perfect moment. There will always be reasons to wait, excuses to hesitate, and doubts to overcome. But nothing changes until action is taken. The smallest step, no matter how uncertain, is still progress. And once that step is taken, the next one becomes easier. The only guaranteed way to fail is to do nothing. Every other path, no matter how small or slow, leads to growth. The choice is simple. Stay in place and wonder what could have been, or take a step forward and create what could be. One of the biggest misconceptions about progress is the belief that if results aren't immediate, then the effort isn't worthwhile. This mindset often leads to frustration, discouragement, and ultimately inaction. People start a fitness routine, but quit because they don't see changes right away. They begin learning a new skill, but give up because they struggle in the early stages. They work toward a goal, but abandon it when success doesn't come quickly enough. The problem isn't ability or effort. It's the unrealistic expectation that progress should be instant. We shift our mindset to focus on micro movements rather than massive transformations. We free ourselves from the pressure of immediate results. Instead of expecting perfection, we learn to appreciate progress. Instead of waiting for motivation, we build habits. Instead of focusing on the entire journey, we concentrate on taking the next step. This approach not only makes success more attainable, but also makes the process more enjoyable. Think of a musician learning to play an instrument. In the beginning, the notes are off, the fingers don't move fast enough, and progress feels painfully slow. But with consistent practice, just a few minutes each day, skills improve. Over time, those small, imperfect practice sessions add up to mastery. The same principle applies to learning a language, starting a business, improving relationships, or developing any new habit. Each small effort may seem insignificant on its own, but when added together, they create exponential growth. A powerful aspect of shifting our mindset is recognizing that micro movements build momentum. Action, no matter how small, leads to more action. When we take a step, whether it's writing a single paragraph, making one healthy meal choice, or reaching out to one new person, we create momentum. That momentum reduces resistance, builds confidence, and makes the next step easier. This concept is evident in nature. Consider a river carving through rock. It doesn't happen in an instant. The water flowing steadily over time shapes the landscape through persistent movement. Similarly, progress in life isn't about dramatic shifts. It's about steady, continuous effort that compounds over time. The most successful individuals are not necessarily the smartest, strongest, or most talented. They are the ones who understand the power of micro movements. They show up, do the work, and stay consistent even when results aren't immediate. They trust the process, knowing that small actions repeated over time lead to big impact. The real challenge isn't lack of ability, it's impatience. When we learn to trust small steps, we unlock the secret to long-term success. It's not about massive change all at once. It's about committing to small daily improvements. And in the end, those tiny, seemingly insignificant steps are what lead to the biggest transformations. Inspiration is not something that comes from grand speeches, perfect plans, or once-in-a-lifetime moments. It comes from action. Too often, people wait for motivation to strike before they begin something new. They wait to feel ready, confident, or certain before taking a step forward. But the truth is, Action itself is what creates inspiration. And when one person takes a small step, they unconsciously inspire others to do the same. Most people believe that inspiration is something external, something they must find before they can begin. But this belief creates a cycle of inaction. If someone waits to feel inspired before they start, they may never start at all. The reality is that inspiration is generated through doing. The simple act of taking a step forward, no matter how small, creates momentum. That momentum builds confidence, and confidence fuels more action. The result? A powerful cycle of progress and motivation. Imagine someone who wants to start a business but feels overwhelmed by the process. They may spend months or even years waiting for the right idea, the perfect plan, or the confidence to begin. But what if, instead of waiting, they simply take one small step? Researching their market, talking to a potential customer, or drafting a basic outline of their vision. That small action, no matter how insignificant it seems, shifts their mindset. It makes the goal feel more achievable, the next step becomes clearer, and before they know it, they are making progress. When people take action, they inspire others to do the same. Think of an individual who decides to run their first marathon. At first, they may struggle with short distances, doubt themselves, and feel uncomfortable. But as they keep going, something incredible happens. Friends and family take notice. Someone who once doubted their own ability to run might feel encouraged to try a short jog. A colleague who never prioritized fitness might feel motivated to make a change. Without realizing it, the initial runner has created a ripple effect of inspiration simply by taking action. History is filled with examples of individuals who inspired change simply by starting. Rosa Parks didn't set out to spark a movement. She simply refused to give up her seat. Her action, though small, inspired thousands to stand up for their rights. Greta Thunberg started her climate activism as a single student protesting outside Parliament. Her solitary action grew into a global movement. These individuals did not wait for permission, the right timing, or perfect conditions. They took action, and in doing so, they ignited something far greater than themselves. The beauty of inspiration through action is that it doesn't require status, fame, or special skills. It simply requires the willingness to begin. When people see someone else taking a step forward, especially in the face of fear, uncertainty, or doubt, it reminds them that they can do the same. It breaks the illusion that change requires perfection and proves that progress starts with small, courageous movements. Take the first step, even if it feels small. Speak up, even if your voice shakes. Try, even if you might fail. Because action, no matter how small, is what sparks motivation, both in yourself and in those around you. And once you begin, you never know who you might inspire. One of the most common reasons people hesitate to take action is because they believe their small efforts won't make a difference. They assume that if they can't solve a problem entirely, their contribution is meaningless. But this belief is flawed. Every action, no matter how small, plays a role in a much bigger picture. Progress is rarely made through a single defining moment. It is built by many people making small contributions over time. The way a single drop of water contributes to the ocean. On its own, it seems insignificant, but when combined with millions of other drops, it becomes part of something vast and powerful. The same is true for human effort. No single person may be able to change the world overnight, but small, consistent actions from many individuals create lasting change. This principle is evident in social movements, scientific discoveries, and even everyday life. Think about a massive environmental issue like plastic waste. One person choosing to reduce their plastic use may feel like their effort is too small to matter, but when thousands or millions of people make the same choice, the impact is undeniable. The shift toward reusable products, sustainable packaging, and eco-friendly alternatives all began with individuals making small changes. The idea that small contributions matter is just as powerful. A company's success is not determined by one major decision, but by the collective efforts of its employees. The extra effort put into a project, the willingness to help a colleague, or the creativity in solving a problem, these small actions build a culture of excellence and innovation over time. Consistency is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Many people start strong, filled with enthusiasm and motivation. They set ambitious goals, take the first few steps, and expect quick results. But when progress feels slow or challenges arise, they lose motivation and give up. This is why so many diets fail, so many businesses never take off, and so many personal goals remain unfulfilled. The initial excitement fades, and without consistency, the journey stops before real progress is made. Success is not about making one huge effort. It's about showing up every day, even when motivation is low. A writer who commits to writing just 500 words a day will complete a book in a few months. An athlete who trains consistently, even on the days they don't feel like it, will build strength and endurance over time. A person who saves a small amount of money each month will eventually achieve financial stability. It's not about doing something once, it's about doing it repeatedly. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with consistency is that they expect instant results. But meaningful progress doesn't happen overnight. Consider a tree growing from a seed. In the beginning, there is no visible change. The roots are developing beneath the surface, slowly but surely. Over time, small, invisible growth turns into something strong and unshakable. Human progress works the same way. Small actions may not show immediate results, but they are building a foundation for future success. Challenge to consistency is perfectionism. Many people believe that if they can't do something perfectly, they shouldn't do it at all. But consistency is not about perfection, it's about persistence. Missing one workout, making a mistake, or having an unproductive day doesn't erase progress. What matters is getting back on track and continuing forward. The people who succeed are not the ones who never fail, but the ones who keep going despite failure. Building consistency requires discipline, but it also requires patience and trust in the process. It helps to focus on the long-term vision rather than immediate gratification. Instead of looking for quick success, look for steady improvement. Instead of waiting for motivation, rely on commitment. Motivation is temporary, but habits last. Think of some of the most successful people in any field. Athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, they all have one thing in common. They show up and do the work, even when it's difficult, even when progress is slow, even when no one is watching. That's the secret to success. The power of consistency is that it turns small steps into big results. It transforms effort into mastery, dreams into reality, and small beginnings into lasting achievements. It is not about making massive changes all at once, but about committing to small, purposeful actions every day. And over time, those actions create a success story that was built not by luck or talent, but by the simple act of showing up, again and again. Every great achievement, every movement, and every transformation begins with a single step. Small actions, when done consistently, build momentum and create a ripple effect that extends far beyond what we can see. The belief that small efforts don't matter is a misconception, because it is those very efforts that lead to the biggest impact. Progress is not about making one giant leap. It is about taking small, purposeful steps each day. Whether it's choosing kindness, taking action despite fear, shifting our mindset, or staying consistent, every decision we make contributes to something greater. Inspiration is not something we wait for, it is something we create through action. The choice is always in our hands. We can hesitate, waiting for the perfect moment, or we can start now, knowing that even the smallest effort makes a difference. The world is not changed by those who wait, but by those who take action, one small step at a time. And in the end, it is those steps that lead to a truly lasting and meaningful impact.